to MandoBug Crafts, episode 48. What's up? I'm MandoBug, but you can call me Amanda if you want. I'd like to go ahead and say thank you to all the new and returning viewers. Yep, thank you. So starting the shot with something I've learned. So this week I did a pretty good amount of sewing, and I can't believe I didn't know this already. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm the kind of person who sometimes just jumps into things without fully reading like the correct or proper way of how to do something. I'm just kind of like, let's see if I can figure it out and go. So that's kind of how it's been with my sewing machine, because my mom showed me how to sew on her sewing machine when I was pretty young. So I didn't feel like I needed to read any books like about basics or anything. I figured I'd get reference books, use those when I need them, and just go from there. So I have been sewing with this basic Singer sewing machine for the last 3 years, and I can tell the motor's old, and I probably should take it apart and oil it sometime, because you know I've had it for a while, and you know especially with the cheaper cotton threads, little cotton bits will get caught up in the machine and whatever. But I think because I've had this machine for so long, this is probably where this issue came from. I was sewing along, I don't remember what project specifically, but I was looking at my stitches and they weren't quite right. So there's a thread that goes from the top, and then there's a thread that comes from the bottom in the machine. And if the tension for the fabric you're working with is set the way it should be, you'll get these nice long lines on the top and on the bottom. And if your tension is too tight or too loose on the top or the bottom, it will not look very nice. So I was getting these like loops on the top of my fabric. Not anything loose, but it wasn't a nice even line. In between the line stitches, I had like this extra little bump, and it looked funny. And so immediately I was like, okay, there's something wrong with the tension. And so I was adjusting the tension on the top of my machine, which only adjusts the tension for the thread that runs from the top through the needle. And so I wasn't seeing a difference. So finally I gave up and I went to Google, and I found out that it's the lower thread tension, which I had never even realized there was a way to adjust that. So that's what I learned this week on my machine specifically, that there's different ways for different machines. My bobbin case looks like this. I was sewing with black thread, so I have my bobbin in here, and it's all threaded in the case, but this little screw right here is how I adjust the tension on the bottom thread for my sewing machine, and I had never done that before. So the machine comes with a little tool. I put it away, I don't have it out, but you can use it to tighten or loosen that screw to get, sorry, baby's moving kind of funky, so if I'm making funny faces, I just had lunch, so she gets super active after lunch. But anyways, the tool. So I turned the screw and it was so loose. Like, I could turn it with just my hand. And I think that's because I've had the machine for so long that the screw has just kind of come loose over time. So I just needed to tighten it up quite a bit. And I don't know if this is a step in adjusting your lower bobbin or your lower thread's tension, but I didn't notice a difference until I took the bobbin out and re-put it back in, because you run your thread through where the screw tightens. It runs through here, and if the thread was already in there, I noticed a little bit of a difference, but it didn't really make that big of a difference until after I took the bobbin out and put it back in, because excuse me, I had tightened it too much, and it was fine with the bobbin in the case, but when I ran out of thread and I needed to, when I ran out of thread and I needed to replace it, when I went to slide the yarn or the thread through the slot, the yarn or the thread broke because I had actually tightened it too much. So I loosened it just a bit, and so now I have nice perfect stitches again. But I guess like I knew there was a lower tension thread, I just never really knew how to adjust it. So that's what I learned this week. Moving on to works in progress. So I started the second slipper out of my Nightmare Before Christmas yarn from Loops. So here is the first slipper that I finished. Oh, I guess it's all pancaked. And this is the Sally's Tower Slippers by Sarah Stevens. And the yarn is Loops DK, and the colorway is Sally. So I've just got the toe up through the increases, and I just need to do some plain stockinette stitch knitting now. So I'm really enjoying working on them. I mentioned last week with the slipper pattern, the heel is pointy, and if I was as flexible as I was before I was pregnant, I would put it on and show you. But my belly would get in the way if I tried to do that right now. So I'll save myself the embarrassment. And just trust me that when you put your heel in here, it can be pulled tight, but once you start walking, the tip comes off the edge of your toe, and it's just a little pointy. So I'm going to make the second slipper the exact same way, just so that they match. And when I make this slipper again in the future, I'm going to try to adjust that part of the pattern so it's not so, sorry, Emily. She's like down there, just like, I don't know what she's doing. But yeah, I'm gonna try to adjust them the second time around. But I'm enjoying working on these. It's a nice simple project, and I really do like the finished item minus the heel. I mean, it's not bad, but I mean, I really haven't worn it around too much because I only have one. I just put it on and wore it around a little bit. So I'll have more news on how they wear when I finish them and get to use them. Oh, I went over to Lindsay's house this past weekend, and we did some sewing. Well, it was frustrating, at least for me. I'm pretty sure she was frustrated too. This all sparked because we were watching Maleficent, which I had never seen before, and they have a lot of older styled clothes in that movie, and I was like, you know, I really want one of those dresses. And Lindsay's like, yeah, me too. And so we're like, let's make them. So the next day we started sewing some, and I don't have the pattern with me because it's her pattern, but maybe I can find a way to add that in later at some point. But it's a simplicity pattern for a long dress, and there's two options. There's like a short princess sleeve looking option, and then there's a long sleeve option. Well, because I'm pregnant and I don't know what size I'm going to be when I'm done with this, I'm just kind of making the largest size that we had in the pattern, which is I think it's about the size I was before I was pregnant, if not a little bit bigger. So I'm hoping it'll fit. If not, it's not a big deal because I'm sewing it out of muslin, which is really cheap, and it's what a lot of people recommend that you use to sew like practice patterns with anyways. So here's my progress so far. And so it's just the top. This is, you can see the armholes. Well, I have a sleeve on this one, but there's an armhole. This is the neck, and then where the fabric is gathered is under the bust. So that was really fun, playing with gathering fabric. And then the sleeve's a little gathered as well. I have the left sleeve on, and you can see, I think, around the armhole, the fabric's gathered. So it's a little tight because I have a sweatshirt on right now, so I don't think I can put it on over my sweatshirt, but that's my progress so far. So we'll see how it ends up. This is supposed to be higher up on the shoulder. But those simplicity patterns are not the easiest to follow, and sorry, there's something in my throat. Let me drink some water real quick. They're not written in a way that's easy to understand, and they use really vague terminology when it should be a little bit more specific, like what piece or pieces. They don't really have like the pieces specifically named, so when they reference them in the directions, you're not really sure what they're talking about, and there's like pictures for every other step, and so I feel like they're really made for more experienced seamstresses and not so much adventuring people who are just trying to learn. So I think that's what's been the most frustrating. And then plus, like, it's so easy to make mistakes in sewing that, like, originally I had, in the back, okay, this is the back of the fabric, and you can see it's curved here. I had sewn them the wrong direction, so that I had two left sides instead of a left side and a right side. There's the other back. And like that's stuff that if you're just not paying attention, it's really easy to accidentally do that, and that has nothing to do with the pattern and more to do with just like whoops. So I mean, those two things combined made for a lot of seam ripping and a lot of frustration, and what is this pattern even trying to tell me? I just want to sew a dress. So we didn't get very far. Plus it takes a long time to cut out the pattern. So but Lindsay's on vacation right now, so when she gets back we'll probably try sewing again, but I don't expect that to be for a couple more weeks. But it was something different. So also for works in progress, I started some fingerless mitts, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I might do. So I did. I decided on fingerless mitts for my penguin soup patchwork. So this is my penguin soup, her fairy sock base, and this is the colorway patchwork, which was inspired by Sally. And I have two mitts that are at the same progress. So these are called the Spatterdash wrist warmers, and I found the pattern on Ravelry, but it's a knitty pattern. This is my first time following a knitty pattern. This is a free pattern, and it's very well written for being a free pattern. There's a lot of shaping. It's very easy to follow. I was very pleased with this pattern. So I decided to knit these parallel because I do have two of these needles, because I was doing two circulars to knit socks. So I have two of these. And so the point I'm at now is I just have to knit a border around this, finish knitting the thumb, and then put buttons on it. So the way that this fits is, let me see, I have them marked. Oh, that's a side note. If you're going to knit mitts parallel, make sure you don't knit two right mitts. I cast on for both mitts and was following the direction for the right mitt for like the first 5 or 6 rows, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I'm making two right mitts. I'm so glad I noticed that early on. I only lost like a half hour's worth of work. It could have been a lot worse. But so then I marked them. So the white marker is the right mitt. So, and this is something I didn't notice originally in the pattern pictures. But so here's my thumb hole, and you can see that this fan pattern is a little bit on your palm, and I didn't realize that originally, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. But you have this stockinette version that goes over the top, and then the fan comes over. It wants to curl up on itself, so it's hard to show. But the fan curls over on top of your hand, and then there will be buttons. So that's kind of, this is very awkward to try to show you, but I'm very happy, and see the inside, the fan. But I'm very happy with the pattern, and I'm knitting the mediums. I'm glad. Maybe I should have made large, but I'm glad I made the mediums because I almost cast on for small, and they would have been way too small. So, although you can do as many repeats of this as you want to have it wrap more, but I figured once the border gets added, it will come where it's supposed to and have all the million buttons. I know I think there's like 18 buttons. And for this, these colors are so wacky, and I don't know if you can tell, but the yarn is sparkly. So I'm thinking I want to try to make my own buttons. Just because this is the Sally pattern, or this is the Sally yarn, and it's called Patchwork because it's named after her dress, and I was thinking what would look better than some handmade buttons. And so I've never made buttons before, so I think that would be kind of like a fun adventure, side adventure, and so yeah. And like I said, I was knitting them parallel, so I have two. So maybe I'll finish these this week, probably. But I knit one from the inside and one from the outside, but because it's a variegated yarn, they end up matching pretty well. I mean, not exactly the same, but you can tell that they go together. And then I'll have leftovers, and then I want to make some stuff for Emily. I'm hoping I have enough left over to knit her a hat, but if I don't, definitely some little booties. It's time to start knitting booties. I don't have any hand knit booties for her, and with her arrival expected to be sometime around the end of December or beginning of January, I'm expecting that her little feetsies are going to need to be covered, and not all of our newborn clothes, or even 0 to 3 months, have covered feet. Some of them are open feet. So, moving on to finished objects. So I'm really proud of this finished object this week. I randomly decided to finish it when I decided to do some sewing, and I'm glad I picked it back up to finish it. So I started sewing this tote last year around, this is that bobbin and thread I dropped, whoops. Last year around Thanksgiving, I got some fat quarter packs from Joann's. Now, I don't remember if I got 1 or 2. I think I only got 1, but don't hold me to it. It might have been 2. And I had bought this pattern. This is a McCall's pattern. Where's the number? If you're interested, that's the pattern number. And these really cute quilted totes, I was attracted to version B. So I started quilting that last year, and I finished it this week. So here is my Harvest quilted tote, and I am so happy with the way that this turned out. And it's the same on the front and the back, and the side fabrics are the same. The bottom fabric is a little different, but I mean, it's all fabric that I used in the pattern. And then the straps. I misread the directions for the straps, and so I didn't have enough fabric to make this same on the inside and the outside. So I used the lining of the bag for the lining of the handle. And then you can see inside the bag the lining. And you can see it has pockets. It has pockets. My first time doing pockets. You can see I sewed it with black thread, and I don't necessarily like the way that it looks, but I like the fact that it stands out, because had I used tan thread, I might not see these pockets as well. And maybe if I was to make this bag again, I would put elastic in the hem so that they would kind of pull shut to kind of hold whatever goes in there, because there are pockets on both sides of the lining. So this bag is huge, you guys. Here, I'll show you how huge. It's this huge. That's how huge it is. It's so big. And what I like about this pattern is normally with these patterns that you buy, they come with like a really thin, like plasticky material and you cut it out, and it's almost like if you don't take care of it, you kind of get single use out of it. But I was able to measure a lot of the pattern pieces and not have to cut the little plastic pieces out because a lot of them were just square. So I should be able to recreate this pattern as much as I like. There are 2 more versions still available for me to try up. But also I have the dimensions now for all the pieces of the purse. So if I just wanted to make a plain tote like this, I could do that. Or if I wanted to try my own quilted pattern, I could do that. Or if I wanted to use like an embroidery piece of fabric, I could do that. I'm very happy. It wasn't very difficult to make, and the cool thing about it is it's almost like faux quilting because I mean, in the instructions it tells you to quilt like top quilt, not piece quilt, because I had to piece all of this together. But you use fusible fleece interfacing, which is kind of like a batting. So when you fuse it together, it gives it this nice batting-like feeling like quilts do, but you don't actually have to sew the fabric to the fleece because it's like I use the iron-on interfacing, so it's already fused through the little glue dots. The pattern tells you to sew back over the lines, like over your seams, but I'm not very good at stitching in, well, from the quilting class I took, they called it stitching in the ditch, where you stitch in between the fabric where your seams are. I'm not very good at that, and I wasn't feeling patient, and since it already is fused to the fleece, I was like, nah, it's fine. So you could get like these nice faux quilted bags. But yeah, I'm super happy with my new harvest tote. It is full of fall colors and pumpkins. I have at least 2 different pumpkin fabrics on here. So yeah, I'm super happy with this guy. So moving on to check it out, like I said, I did a lot of sewing this week, so I decided to try a new pattern for project bags. I have tried the drawstring bag, which is this one, and I have tried the zippered pouch, which the closest one I have is way over there, so it'll stay over there. But it's just like a zippered wedge bag. And another popular version of project bags I've seen are the box bags. And I had yet to try one, so I found this tutorial on the blog Truly Myrtle. That's right? Yeah. And it's just her box bag tutorial. And so here's my box bag. And this was a very nice tutorial to follow. And she explains how if you don't want to make a box bag the size that she did, I went ahead and I did. But if you want to make a bigger or smaller one, she explains the math behind how to adjust the dimensions of the bag, which is really nice. And so the only thing is, I made another one of these, but it's already been shipped off to its recipient, so I don't have it to show you. But there are pull tabs. You can see my tab here by the zipper. Oops. So that when you go to open it, you can hold that tab and zip it open. And the zipper goes down the side of the bag. And then here's the lining. Now this is cool because the seam for the lining is not in the center of the bag. It's in the corner. Which corner? This corner. I can tell because I didn't invisible stitch it. I just stitched over it with my sewing machine. I don't know if you can see how it sticks out. But yeah, the closing seam is in the corner. So, but she recommends that you put interfacing on the interior and exterior fabric, which I went ahead and tried out to see what it was like. It's nice. I like it for this bag because of its shape especially. I feel like if I didn't put the interfacing on the interior and exterior fabrics, it wouldn't keep its shape so well. But the one thing is when you follow her pattern, she only has you putting the tab here. but she explains you can put a tab here too, but she doesn't say that until after you've already sewn this part, so I didn't do it on this bag. But when I made my second one, I put a tab at the end of the zipper as well, because when you go to close the bag, there's nowhere to hold, so I just kind of pinch the bottom of the bag to close it. But it would be really nice if you had a tab down here to hold on to when you close the bag. The handle was sewed in here rather it was creative, the way that the handle is sewn into the bag. So I really enjoyed that. I felt like it was a pretty fast project bag to make compared to the other ones. I guess I haven't made the drawstring bag in a while, but this bag has the boxed corners just like the open wide zipper pouch wedge that I make, but they're done different, and that's what I thought was cool. Same with this tote, actually. This tote did the boxed corners on the bottom, and they were done the same way as this bag, which is different than the zippered pouch. So in the zippered pouch, they have you fold the fabric in half and then measure the triangle on your on this guy, on one of these, on like the 45-degree mark, and like it'll tell you like so many inches wide, and then you sew along that line and then you cut it. Well, with these, you leave the fabric flat and you cut a square out of the corner, and then you fold it in half and sew it. And I found that to be easier than the other way that I'd been doing. But yeah, I think the handle is a little bit too wide for my preference, but aesthetically I see why it's this big. I mean, she made the handle as wide as the box of the bag, so it doesn't hurt anything. It's just a thicker handle than what I'm used to. But it is a really big bag. Like, despite the fact that it only looks this big, it fits a lot in here. So you could probably fit a 2-skein project in here. So yeah, if you're interested in making a box bag, check out this tutorial. Moving on to current events. So I told you guys how I was waiting for my yarn to come in for the Sarah's Story knit along, and it did. And oh my goodness, this yarn is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors in person more than I did in the photo. But this is the yarn that comes in the kit for the Sarah's Story shawl. And so this yarn is from Eternity Ranch, and in the Sarah's Story colorway, I believe that's what it's called. If not, I'll put some down here. And then I went ahead and cast on this shawl. And this shawl, this pattern is lovely. This is a paid-for pattern by Knit by Bit Designs, and here is my progress so far. So the shawl is knit sideways. So you start from one end and you knit to the other. So I've been increasing. You can see I started with the green color, and what I really like about this pattern is the edges. So you get this nice edge here, then this nice little design, and then there's a nice edge here before you get into the stockinette, and then again with the edge, that design again, and then the lace pattern. So I think this shawl is absolutely gorgeous. It's very delicate, and I think once this is done and blocked, it's just going to be absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really enjoying this shawl. And then also for current events, I am hosting a Craft with Your Hand Spun Along. So that's been going on since September, and it runs to the end of this month, November, in case you were wondering. And so you can check out the rules and guidelines and everything for that in the MandoBug Crafts Ravelry group. I don't want to repeat the the idea behind it every week, so but I've been knitting with my hand spun, and I finished my second 2x2 ribbed hat. So here was the first one. Emily, oh, she's getting strong enough now that sometimes her movements are painful. So I'm trying to, like, okay, stop doing that. this was the first one I knit, and this is out of Knitting Colors 100% Falkland in the Sleepy Hollow colorway that I spun as a fractal 2-ply. And so this one was mine with the ribbed brim. I love this hat, and I've been wearing it nonstop. It's cool because it almost like changes colors. It's like one color indoor, one color outdoor. It just, you never know how the colors are gonna look, and I absolutely have been enjoying wearing it, and I like the way it fits me. I mean, if you don't like ribbing, you're not gonna like this hat. This hat it's a free pattern. It's straight up 2x2 rib, the whole thing. So, except for the decreases are a little different. But I had enough yarn to make a second hat for my husband, and so his hat is done now. And his is shorter, so there is no rolled brim. But I blocked his because his head's a little bit bigger than mine. So I blocked his to kind of stretch it out, and so it would be a better fit for him. But I think it turned out pretty good, and he loves the way it fits. See, it bugs me that it doesn't come down past my ears all the way. Like, even if you tug on it, I guess it kind of does a little bit, but it just chops it, and I couldn't wear this hat because it doesn't cover my ears all the way. And I just like the rolled brim, but he likes it just like this. So, and then you can see the top. And in mine, I accidentally had a purl 4 together that I just was like, whatever, it's staying in there. His was actually the correct number of stitches, and so the decreases are a cool spiraling pattern. I mentioned when I finished this hat, I followed the Ravelry user Millie. She left notes on her project page about how she changed the decreases of the crown to make the top less pointy, and I just went ahead and followed her decreases for both of these hats so that it wasn't like cone shaped. But so since I finished these, I went ahead and I cast on another project with hand spun. So this is Misia by Catherine Steinhauer, and I just cast it on today, so I'm not very far along, but this is the first shawl in a collection that she's releasing, and I am doing a giveaway. She offered a pattern up to you guys, so go ahead and check out the MandoBug Crafts Ravelry group to enter to possibly win a copy of this pattern. It's very gorgeous so far. I've just started the beginning, and it's this very textural pattern. It's very textured. The pattern calls for a US size 4. I didn't have any available, so I went up to a 5, figuring it wouldn't be too much of a difference, especially since this is hand spun. Sometimes, you know, my gauge, my yarn's not very consistent all the time with hand spun, so I figured, you know, it's already gonna be a little holy because some places are thinner than fingering weight, some places are thicker than fingering weight, so it's not gonna be a consistent gauge anyways. And not that gauge really matters with the shawl, so I just went ahead and cast on with 5s. But I'm really loving how this hand spun's knitting up, especially in this pattern. You can see the kind of gradual change from the red into the purple, and this shawl is also knit sideways. So I should get longer stretches of my color than certain other ways that shawls are knit. But I'm using this yarn, and yeah, I'm knitting from this skein, so you can see I've dipped into the purple, and it will be going back to red and purple and red and purple. And this yarn is Malabrigo Nube in the Cereza colorway, and I spun this as a chain ply. It's about fingering weight. I have 450-ish yards, so I think this is coming along really nicely, and it's really fun to knit because I want to see how the colors are going to knit up. So I hope you guys are crafting with your hand spun, and I can't wait to see some more finished objects in the thread for entries for the prizes. So speaking of, I haven't announced the prize for the giveaway, For this giveaway, I'm just gonna have one prize, but it'll be a pretty sweet prize, I think. I've picked out this fabric from my stash to make a project bag. I don't know if you can tell, but this wintry with trees is glittery. It's a glittery fabric. And then this is just a white polka dot to pair it with. I don't know what kind of project bag I'm going to make yet. I might make a poll in the Ravelry group for you guys to come vote what you think it should be. It'll probably be one of the three that I've already made before, so either a drawstring, a wedge, or a box bag. You know what? Actually, I could just wait until the winner is drawn, and then the winner can choose which kind of bag they want. You know what? That's probably what I'll do. So, the winner will get a project bag of these fabrics, very winter themed, which I think is appropriate as it starts to cool off. I know you guys are freezing out there because I keep hearing about people getting over a foot of snow, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. I mean, it is cold here where I'm at in Georgia compared to usual. My husband looked it up yesterday. I think we had a high of like 42, where comparably last year it was a high of 85 on the same day. So 42 is not very cold compared to most places, but for us it's cold, so I know it's colder than usual for you guys as well. So everybody's just cold. But it makes me want winter themed things, which brings me to the other part of the prize. Hope this isn't too loud. I ordered some 50/50 merino tencel. Yes. And there's 8 ounces here. I'm going to dye up 4 ounces for you, whoever the winner is, and then 4 ounces for me. Because I've been really wanting some merino tencel to just see what it's like and to play with. And I've opened it and I've touched it, and I don't want to do that because it'll be super loud. And you guys will just watch me being weird with it, so we can pass on that. But I'm thinking about dyeing it winter themed with the winter bag, of course. So I'm thinking of like soft blue, white, and silver. Oh, when I say silver, because you can't dye silver. Silver is not a color, it's like a luster. So that's why also I thought it would be appropriate on this merino tencel. The tencel makes the fiber very shiny. So if you were to put gray on the shiny, it will come across as silver. Otherwise, it's just gray. So those are my plans. Hopefully that goes out well. It works well. So all my dyeing equipment's at Lindsay's house, so I have to wait till she gets back from vacation. But it should be done before the giveaway, and besides, the project bag won't be done because the winner will get to choose what kind of bag they would like. So that's what the prize will be for that. Also, for current events, the thread for the 100-member pattern giveaway is still open. That will be open through the 24th. So if you have not had a chance to go ahead and get your entry in for that, check it out in the Ravelry group. So moving on to upcoming events. So I mentioned last week about a possible ornament swap. If you haven't had a chance to go check out that thread to let me know if you'd be interested, go ahead and check it out. So far there are only a very small handful of people who are interested, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to be gone through with or not. If we don't get enough participants, it's not really worth organizing a swap, you know what I mean? So that might be scrapped, but I completely understand it's the holiday season and it's a very busy time for crafting to try to join in swaps. So yeah, other than that, I can share with you guys a baby bump date. Although you've kind of been hearing me complain about her through this whole episode, she's kind of calmed down at the end here, so that'll teach me to eat before I podcast, right? I was really hungry though. I've been really hungry lately, pretty much 24/7, and I'm starting to get sleepy again, and the pregnancy is starting to be a little less comfortable, to say the least. But I'll go ahead and show you my belly. Of course, I'm in my comfortable sweats again because I just live in these sweats all day. But I still fit in my Jack sweatshirt, so it just doesn't come down all the way. I'll show you my stripy shirt. But yeah, all my normal clothes, even the bigger, stretchier clothes that I bought, thinking they would fit through the pregnancy, are starting to be too short and get stretched out too tight. But, you know, I only have 6 weeks left. So, well, I mean, I guess just a little over 6 weeks. I'll be 34 weeks tomorrow, which puts me at about 6 weeks until my due date. But, you know, she could come early, she could come late. Who knows? But, yeah. I'm just trucking along. I have a doctor's appointment next week, so that'll be fun. I get to go get a bunch of vaccines, so I'm not looking forward to that. But we had our friend threw us a baby shower this weekend, and it was awesome. A bunch of friends turned out and had a good time with them. And of course we came home with a car full of diapers. And so the baby's room is really coming together. Like, it's funny because I've seen a bunch of my friends when they're pregnant on Facebook, like, they'll take like a picture of the baby room with just all the stuff in it before it's like been organized, and they're just like, oh, I have to do that. And that's what I feel like now. I'm just looking in that room and there's just boxes and bags full of baby stuff, and I'm just like, ah. Oh. So me and Josh have been trying to chip away at it, like one project at a time. We're getting pretty close. We had to order a dresser this weekend for her because we have so many clothes and nowhere to put them. So the dresser should be coming in this week, and I can put the clothes away. I've already organized them by size, so but there's still, like, we're still trying to figure out the stroller car seat thing. The stroller's pretty much good. The car seat, we're trying to figure out how to adjust the straps, and we were having issues with that, and we got frustrated and put it away, and we're gonna have to go back to that and figure it out. But I'm just so excited. I can't believe 6 weeks. That's nothing. That's, especially if she comes early. Like, we should probably pack a bag, a hospital bag, just in case. But and then I got some awesome, lovely hand knit clothes for her in the mail too, from a dear friend, and it's just it's exciting. It's super exciting. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys made something awesome during this episode, and feel free to come share it in the Ravelry group. I'd love to see it, and I will see you next week. Bye!